Hey, what's up? Ian here, and this is the EPZ TP30 portable dongle DAC amplifier. The retail price for this is 120 US dollars and is available on Linso's website. If you want to find out more information about this dongle DAC, please check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. It comes in this box like so, a very simple box with gold embossing on it. And inside you get a user guide and the cable. Now when you choose the cable, there are two options. You can choose either Lightning to USB-C or USB-C to USB-C. So if you're an iPhone user, you should choose the Lightning to USB-C, and if you're an Android user, you should choose the USB-C to USB-C. So that's the cable that's provided. And then the device itself. The device is I would say gold spray painted. I'm not too sure it is anodized, but it feels like it's spray painted, and to me honestly it's quite cheesy. It looks quite cheesy, but then again, this is how they want to present this as a gold nugget, I would say, or maybe a gold bar. And it's quite hefty actually, and it's quite substantial, and it's quite solid as well in terms of the build quality. On the top here you do get a USB-C connection which connects to your source. Alright, this is how you connect it to the source, and then on the side here you get a volume rocker. The faceplate, you get indicator, LED indicator here, which will show you the bit rate of the audio that you're listening to, which is pretty hard to read, but yeah, this is the LED indicator which will show you the bit rate. And then at the bottom here is two output, so you get two options. One is the 3.5 headphone output, and this one will give you 125 milliwatts of power, and the other one is balance output at 4.4, and that would give you 270 milliwatts of power, and both at 32 ohms. Now in terms of the decoding capability of this has the ES903802M DAC chip in it, and it can decode PCM up to 32-bit 768 kilohertz and DSD 512. So it is pretty good in terms of the decoding capability, but the signal to noise ratio of this is quite impressive at 122 dB, right, which is close to a zero noise floor. And also inside here there are two amplifier chips, which is the RT6863 amplifier chip. Now in terms of frequency range, this can range up to 20 Hertz all the way to 48,000 Hertz. So I would say this is quite a resolving dongle DAC. Alright, so that's the specs of this little device. Now let's talk about the sound of it. In terms of the technical performance of this, again, this is quite a capable little device. It can decode quite a bit of sound up to 768 kilohertz and DSD 512, but in terms of the sound quality, from what my ears tell me, this is actually quite clear, quite resolute. Now in terms of the delivery of the sound is good, but in terms of the overall tone and timbre, this is more of a fun and casual and balanced type of sound. It's not a lean sound. It's not I would say classical type of listening experience. So it's not really of a clinical. I'm not too sure why, but when I'm looking out for a DAC, I would look out for if I want to listen to a high resolution and highly capable decoding DAC. Especially if you can decode DSD 512, I would look for a DAC that can decode, that has an impressive sound tuning, and that has got a lean sound. All right, something more flat type of sound signature, so that I can pick up most of the details, right? But the details on this, in terms of the detail retrieval, because of the curve that it produces, it's more of a lean sounding type of DAC, right? So yeah, so I would say in terms of detail retrieval, is quite decent at the balanced tuning. The tone and timbre is warm, it's fun, it's casual type of tone and timbre. It's quite balanced actually. It's not the most fun sounding dongle DAC out there. right? I have others which are more fun and casual sounding than this one. But overall, I would say this is somewhere in the middle in terms of the tuning, right? The bass is quite good in terms of the sub bass is quite substantial. I can feel it. It's got texture. It's quite forward, and the quality of the bass that it produces is actually pretty pristine and clean. It's not distorted type of bass, so it's pretty good. The mids are a little bit recessed, and the treble is also a little bit recessed and more of a pulled back type of treble. It's not a bright or energetic treble, but to me this is pretty decent, right? It's not a very outstandish or outlandish type of tuning. Okay, so that's the sound signature of this TP30. Now let's compare it with the rest of my dongle deck so you get some context of where this would stand. Now compare it with my Colorfly. This is the CDA-MP1. Now basically the Colorfly sounds very warm. It sounds more musical. It's got a deeper bass. It's got, in terms of soundstage, I would say both are quite equal, but the Colorfly would sound more dynamic. The TP30 has got more definition. It's more detailed, but in overall listening experience, I would say if you want to go musical, you want to go casual, you should go all the way. You know, sounding like the Colorfly. Colorfly, I would say they have all the checkbox ticked. They sound warm, they sound musical, they sound fun. So overall, very engaging sound as compared to a balanced sound. Right, so this is my comparison with the TP30. Now next, let's compare it to its smaller brother, which is the TP20. So the TP20 is a cheaper version, and it's got more mid bass, right? It's got less musical sounding tone and timbre. It's warmer in sound, more intimate in soundstage as well. It's not as wide as the TP30, and the treble sounds a bit more bright and a little bit more energetic on the TP20, and the sound separation and the definition and the overall resolution of the TP20 is not as good as the TP30. Okay, so if you have a little bit more money, I would suggest to go for the TP30. Okay, so that's the TP20. Next, let's compare it with my recent review, which is the Kiwi Ears Algro, and this one has got a wider soundstage. It sounds brighter. It's got a more energetic treble, and the mids are more forward on the Algro. So overall, I would say the TP30 would sound warmer. It sounds more musical, and it's got a deeper bass, and overall a bit different in terms of the listening experience as compared to the Algro. It's not very different. Okay, but I would say the TP30, it depends on the preference, right? But the TP30 won't sound as clean as the Algro, and Algro would have a wider soundstage, which is a bit more engaging as compared to the TP30. Okay. Right, next let's compare it to the KA17. Now KA17 is much more expensive. Okay, that being said, it's got a wider soundstage, it's got more definition, more resolution, it's got a deeper bass, it's got more forwards mids, it's cleaner sounding, and overall I would say this is a better listening experience to me as compared to the TP30. TP30 would sound a little bit more rounded, a bit more too casual as compared to the KA17. So again, depends on your listening preference. Okay. Right, next let's compare it to the KA13. Now KA13 sounds less resolute than the TP30. It's less musical, it sounds leaner, and it's less dynamic than the TP30. TP30 sounds a little bit more resolute and a little bit more refined as compared to the KA13. KA13 may have a little bit more graininess, a little bit more distortion as compared to the TP30. And also the KA13 would have a brighter treble as compared to the TP30. Next, let's compare it with the recently reviewed Snowy Night. Now the Snowy Night has a wider soundstage, the mids are a bit more forward, and overall is quite resolute. I would say both of them is quite comparable when it comes to resolution, and overall the warmth of it, I would say the TP30 would sound warmer. The TP30 would sound a little bit more musical, a bit more casual as compared to the Snowy Night. Snowy Night would sound a bit more balanced as compared to the TP30, right? But overall, these two devices actually are quite comparable in terms to price to performance ratio. Next, let's compare it with the S9 Pro Plus. S9 Pro Plus would sound leaner. It sounds more forward in the mids. It's got less sound separation, it's got brighter treble, and the soundstage is more narrow than the TP30. So overall, TP30 would sound a bit more fun, a bit more casual as compared to the S9 Pro Plus. At the same time, it sounds more resolute and more refined as compared to the S9 Pro Plus. Of course, the price is different. Again, TP30 would be a little bit more expensive than the S9 Pro Plus. Next, let's compare it with the M15. Right, so M15 I would say is almost double the price of this TP30, but it's got less bass, it sounds less resolute, it's got a brighter treble, and the soundstage is actually a bit more wider. It's got a more balanced sound, and I would say TP30 would have a bit more detail retrieved. I would say the TP30 would have a little bit less definition as compared to the M15, but overall resolution wise, I would say the TP30 would sound a little bit cleaner than the M15. Right, next let's compare it with the DEW4X. This from SimGod. SimGod, I would say this one would sound less musical. Mids are more forward. Soundstage wise, the TP30 is a little bit wider and overall a more engaging soundstage. Bass is much more substantial as compared to the DEW4X. And overall, the DEW4X would sound a little bit less resolute as compared to the TP30. This is more lean sounding. So again, if you are listening to classical music, something more clinical, then this is more suitable than the TP30. Next, let's compare it with the Truth Ear Show. And Truth Ear Show is a no-brainer. If you ask me, TP30 sounds more resolute. It's got more sound separation than the Show. At the same time, it sounds as warm, as fun, as casual as the Show. So it's like a bigger brother with the same characteristics when I compare it with the Show. So TP30 does have the same characteristics as the Show, but it's got better resolution, better detail retrieval. It sounds round as well. It sounds casual. It sounds fun, but in a better way. Okay, so that's all the comparisons that I have with this TP30, and yeah, so you guys, compare it with all the rest of the dongles that I have in my collection, and then you can deduce for yourself how this would sound for yourself, and whether this dongle deck is suitable for your music collection or not. Okay, so that concludes my overall opinion and review of this EPZ TP20. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.